Oliver Wendell home slice. Perhaps I'm being naive, but don't political parties sometimes have to tell their donors, I'm sorry, this issue is pulling at 80%. You're going to have to take an L on this one. Remind Big Pharma that this is still a corporatist country and they'll still make plenty of money, and then draw a line in the sand. Conversely, have Schumer remind his senators like Sinema that it's not like pharma can't just decide to stop donating to Democrats out of spite. They know they can't abandon either party entirely or face retribution down the line, so call their bluff. Also, just slip her a bag of cash or something. I mean, I am of the mind, this will not surprise you, that they have no way of moving Sinema or Manchin, for that matter, in any significant way.
Yeah.
That the mistakes that Biden and Schumer made happened 6 months ago. And we were saying at the time, like, they should take this momentum from the COVID relief package. And the idea is not like this, like momentum in this sense is not like an ephemeral, quality. It's real. It's real. It's not a feeling. It is that things had aligned in such a way that the Republicans were still talking about Dr. Seuss, that there was no pivot point for anybody to sort of like, what's in this bill? What's going to be bad about it? How do I allay the forces? And I'm talking about Manchin and Sinema, and I'm talking about probably other corporate Democrats in there too. How do I get with the opponents of these bills? It's not like, people materialize in a moment. You have to organize, and they organize. They can do it quicker. There's smaller numbers. They have more money. They know who their allies and enemies are. But I mean, that's why you got to move quick. There's a big difference between 6 or 7 months. There's a big difference between coalescing Republicans and inviting them into the White House so that they can debate and figure out like what, where there are points of agreement as to what we should oppose and how we should go about doing it and this and that. And the Democratic leadership blew it. There is no, it's quite clear now that there is no negotiating with these people. They're going to get their demands, period, end of story. The leverage is gone. The leverage is gone. There was a situation, and in many respects, it's like, and I'm sorry to use a football metaphor when Emma's away. It is, I keep repeating this. They were on the field. It was a hurry up offense because the only way you're going to score is if the defense is not organized. And there's still 2 players on the sideline, and the coach hasn't figured out, wait a second, is this going to be a run play or a pass play? Like, who do I put in? That's the only opportunity, particularly with a 50-50 Senate, that Democrats had. And it was not such an obscure idea that we couldn't see it from here. Let's put it that way. And as soon as Joe Biden said, I'm going to open this up to Republicans because of their fealty to this notion of bipartisanship, no, steamroll. When you have the opportunity, you steamroll. You do not hesitate. You just do. And they didn't. And it's done. There's not enough of there's nobody who has a bag big enough of cash that it can't be matched by somebody on the other side.
What is the sort of the rear guard action that like someone like Sinema is taking in Arizona? I mean, because now it seems like she has crossed some type of Rubicon, both in her mind, but also in the greater context that like she's not going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party next time around, despite the fact that they seem to have been deploying a bunch of ads saying that she is supporting all the things that she seems to be cutting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Andrew Perez and David Sirota have been doing a good job pointing out who's funding ads in Arizona. There are some progressive group ads there, as there were in West Virginia. same groups, building back better, these Democratic PACs that were started to help out Biden. They've been running ads. And it's more the kind of the pharma groups have stood up these things that say call Sinema and thank her. I don't think the ads are particularly relevant to why she's in the position she's in right now, because she won't tell anybody. I mean, this has been the frustration with Arizonans and reporters, some of whom are Arizonans, is that you kind of hear after the fact what she agreed to, but she's not communicating it on a day-to-day basis. So groups don't know what to do except an overall message of, you're not listening to us. We elected you and you're not doing anything. Why? That's sort of the message, and that's just being funded. Yeah, it's very cookie cutter, the messaging against it, and it might just be vapor in the wind. I'm not sure that an ad that maybe Sinema is not even watching and that voters might be missing, paid for by pharma, telling voters to thank her for the infrastructure bill, which hasn't been passed yet. I don't know how effective it is, but it's basically a pretty equal amount of money that's going back and forth on the TV.
All right. So I don't know. I mean, what do you suspect that? I mean, what if McAuliffe wins bigger in Virginia than we had anticipated? Let's say, what if New Jersey is a more resounding victory? Are we going to see the Democrats just go full tilt on Donald Trump and try and sort of forefront him? I mean, I remember after Obama won, the Obama administration seemed to do this with Rush Limbaugh for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, where they made him
after he said, "I hope he fails," they kind of made him the target.
They made him the face of the party. And your point is the Clintons, Pelosi, AOC, Republicans always find a boogie, generally woman, but sometimes man. Democrats never do that. They never seem to be able to do that. And Donald Trump seems to be sort of like turnkey for this.
Yeah, that'll be the message, I think. Now, if they win, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that goes into it. But the clear message would be, we spent a lot of money doing what we hadn't done before, which is say Trumpism's on the ballot. Remember this guy, he wants this guy to win. And they'll say that definitely worked. I don't think that means that they then don't do anything but run on that in 2022. But they want to get, when they're effective, they're sometimes in Republicans' heads and tying them to stuff they're not popular running on. And Trump is one of them. So will this work as effectively in the Kentucky Senate race? I don't think it will. And Charles Booker is not really doing that. But in Pennsylvania, I think that will encourage Democrats to say, all right, it turns out if people, and they'll tell themselves, we don't know what the economy looks like, but I think Democrats generally believe, in talking to the pollsters, oh yeah, things got pretty bad now. The trends of what if the bill is passed and the Fed is right that inflation's dipping, maybe even if gas is the same price next year and people are used to it, then a lot of those problems are going to go away. We can run on. We're putting things back together, and also Trump's terrible. The COVID part is the hardest one to handle. That's why I'm talking the least about it. But they'll also say, after they said in California, look, being the party of vaccines and mask mandates is a winner, and people need to just stop privileging the people who come and yell and protest about it. I think they already won that argument in California. I don't think it'd be revisited if whatever happens next month. I think it would be a question of, frankly, did McAuliffe screw up personally in talking about schools and give an opening for Republicans to talk about it nonstop? Because that's really the issue. It's that it was a mistake that it wasn't even a mistake. It's what McAuliffe believes, that parents shouldn't be going in and putting red X's over books they don't like. But it was more that Republicans then spent a month saying that is the issue. That's what's on the ballot. So there'll probably be an investigation of this issue that Democrats, again, in Congress do not care about or not talking about at all. It's not like even 2009 when Bob McDonnell wins and Chris Christie wins, and Democrats in the Capitol are like, oh gosh, this Obamacare is unpopular, isn't it? It wouldn't be that. It'd be, I guess the critical race theory thing, that worked. Good for them. I don't know. I don't quite know how they react to a loss there. There's work being done to say any kind of bad result there means they should stop and not do their agenda, not pass the agenda, which is not a thing that anyone actually wants apart from message makers. If I'm a Republican, I want to win those elections and say, It's very clear that Biden has no mandate, because that's what you say every time you want to stop him doing something. Therefore, he should stop doing all this stuff and go back to unifying the country, i.e., not doing anything. I think that's what they will say, but that's, it's not very convincing.